What is up, everyone, and welcome to the Game Week 25, the double Game Week 25 deadline stream, guys. How are you guys doing? Welcome again, all of you. It's a little early, yes, it's a little early in the day in terms of the game week and the deadline, but I think it's good that we kind of get finished up a little early, and then we have a lot of football, a lot of the day left to do whatever we want. So I think it's going to be interesting, and I think it's a really important game week. I generally feel a lot of people are not kind of understanding the importance of this particular game week in terms of either saving a transfer or getting in certain players for the double game week, which is in 25 or even in 26, or probably even planning for 27, 28, and even 30. I mean, I have seen teams, or even I have had some thinking in terms of what do I want to do with my team in 27, in 30. So I think there has to be a certain longevity in terms of the transfers that you make now. I don't think so it's very ideal to kind of just think very short term and then start reacting to that. So we'll kind of deep dive, we'll kind of cover in terms of what we want. At least I am pretty certain in terms of my team, in terms of what I want to do, and I'll also share my plans. I'll also share my team. I This was one of the earlier weeks, in fact, this is one of the earlier times where I've kind of finished my team, or kind of pretty set in terms of what I want to do in this particular week. So, and then the team reveal generally also came a little bit early, so pretty happy with that. No surprises till now so far, but we'll see if we can get any leaks, any sort of information in terms of which players are starting, which players are probably not playing, all of that good stuff, right? As always, make sure that you subscribe and like to the stream, guys. Make sure that you add any comments, anything in the chat, anything at all that you want to talk about for the next 1.5 hours. I know it's a slightly longer stream. Probably this is what we generally do, but I think this one is a little longer than what we've been doing over the past couple of weeks. So we'll try to make it as fun as possible, as engaging and as interesting as possible. Plus, but please make sure that you add your comments and anything that you want to talk about in the chat. Hey Shan, hi Brian. Yes, the deadline definitely feels a bit early in the day today. It's been a long time since a Saturday deadline, and honestly, I think this week it came a little bit too early. I mean, the games finished only just a day back, if you realistically talk about it, maybe a day and a half back, and the next deadline is also pretty fast. So you also don't have a lot of time to react, maybe to certain information. In case if you are not well versed or pretty well gelled into the FPL system, I think a lot of people also might miss this deadline, which is probably going to be a deal breaker for a lot of people. But in general, I think this particular week and the next few weeks are going to be really crucial. Could be make or break for a lot of people. I think this could be a season defining time, and I think we should be very careful in terms of what we do, or at least be thoughtful in terms of what we're doing, right? I have a question for the next week. I'm looking to downgrade CR7, but don't know where to get Watkins or Weghorst. I already have double Villa, and Weghorst gives me a lot of money to play around with. I think so. I know that there's a lot of talk. In fact, if you guys follow Twitter, or if you guys generally follow any other FPL channels, whether on Instagram, Twitter, and all that, or maybe even on YouTube, a lot of people are really hyping up Weghorst, and I understand why the hype, because traditionally, in terms of whatever he's done earlier, I think it's he's a very creative striker. He tries to take up very creative positions. His expected assist numbers, or his creativity numbers, would generally be a lot higher in general. But again, Premier League is a different league. So the first point is that Premier League is a different league. We have to understand a lot of people coming from Germany, coming from different countries, are generally not able to adjust to the Premier League system and how the league is here, the physicality of it, the pace of it, and all that stuff. Now, I understand Burnley have a double game week. Burnley have a double. Now, by a double, I mean they have a double game week in game week 26, and they also have a double game week in game week 27. Right now, that's 4 games. That's one bit, and majorly because of that reason, because Burnley is the only team that is doubling in 27. I think a lot of people would be getting into Weghorst, and especially if you're on a wild card, maybe if you're just looking for a regular transfer, I think it's a very easy switch. Now, the pros of this move is that, of course, you have a lot of money to play around with. You also, as opposed to, let's say, a Kane or maybe a Ronaldo, maybe a premium spot that you would have in your team for a striker. That's one. The second bit is that, of course, you are targeting 4 fixtures. Now, the downside to this part, because this particular element has both sides, right? Whether we really think Weghorst is going to start all 4 games, maybe, maybe not. We can't be 100% sure of that. Whatever we saw from Burnley, another pro that Weghorst should probably give you is that another, the performance that he gave against Man United, especially in the second half, was a lot better. He was, of course, he was dropping deep. He was taking good positions. He was also giving the likes of Rodriguez to, make runs and all of that stuff. And I think that could bode well. I think I personally felt that, he's probably an upgrade over somebody like a Woods or maybe an Ashley Barnes. I think he's Ashley Barnes, yeah. So I think he could be a decent option. Again, it's a bit too early to understand whether at the end of the day it's a Burnley striker. We're not talking about a striker from maybe a Man City or maybe a Tottenham, for example, right? So there are doubts about how he's gonna get on, but I think if you probably don't get him, you might again lose out on a few points, considering that he has so many games. So I think that's a decent move to make. I think that really gives you a lot of flexibility in terms of what you want to do with your overall team. I think the money or the points, the FPL points are generally, it looks like they are in the midfield right now. And if you get that midfield right, like for example, with my team, I know not a lot of people went Coutinho last week, and I won't say it was a lucky move or I just got lucky with how Coutinho did. I think Coutinho was always in terms of how he's probably going to do. There were a couple of doubts initially when he came, but I think whatever he's shown so far, it's been very promising, and I think that looks like a good transfer, right? So if you make these kind of transfers, I think you know. And probably get your midfield right, I think you can really gain a lot of points. Of course, for gaining a lot of ranks and points, you might have to take a punt on a couple of players, might have to captain the right player at the right time or in the right game week. And I think with Weghorst, you get to do all of this. So I think it's probably going to be a very popular move. So you might not end up gaining a lot of points, but I think it's a decent move to make. What are your thoughts on selling Foden to get Bruno and captain him? I think this is a very important and a very common question that I generally received in DMs or through the people who have chatted with me over the last couple of days. Now, I think it's a very simple. There's a very simple logic to it. So you definitely have to have at least one United attacker and to captain him. Again, if you've made up your mind that you're captaining Salah or maybe a KDB, for example, maybe a differential, for example, then it's probably fine, and then probably it's a different. And if you're pretty set on it, then I think you've already made your decision, and it's probably not having a word or not a conversation could happen there. But I think in general, you have to have at least one United attacker for the double game week 25. Of course, especially if you were on a wild card or if you had played your wild card, Bruno was the one to go for. I generally think Bruno is the better player to target for the double game week, at least, if not beyond. Considering that he's probably going to get more minutes, he looks like that he's more nailed. There's not a lot of competition for Bruno Fernandes, and in general, what we've seen, if let's say if United play a 4-3-3, which kind of eventually turns up into a 4-2-3-1 of sorts, where Bruno is getting a lot of chances to go forward. And this is especially when Pogba is kind of playing in those two along with, let's say, a McTominay, for example, and Pogba is kind of holding a little back, or he's holding his position. He's not making those many runs or those many. He's not probably getting in those advancing positions which he would have if he would have played on the left, maybe, for example, right? So that really gives Fernandes a lot of opportunity to go forward, to get more involved in attacking plays. What we've seen so far in the last couple of games where United have played okay. I mean, yes, they've been a bit unlucky. They've not been that clinical, to be very honest. But I think in general, what we've seen from Bruno Fernandes is that he is, whatever United is doing right now is actually going through him a lot, right? Now, going by that logic, he generally looks like a better pick. Ronaldo, yes, if you have Ronaldo already, I don't think so you should go to Bruno and make that switch. I don't think so, because we have to remember that every transfer, and this is a saying in FPL, right, that every transfer is worth 4 points. So you're taking out 4 points, maybe you're taking even more hits to get to a Bruno. And I think if you have Ronaldo, I think it's absolutely fine. But if you don't, I mean, you don't have to get to a Bruno. Now, considering that you probably have, let's say, a KDB and Brian, in your case, it's Foden, for example, I think this is also a very slightly peculiar conversation, because with KDB, in fact, me and a lot of other people are expecting him to get benched this week against Norwich, because Norwich generally looks like a fixture. Again, no disrespect or disregard to Norwich, because they've generally improved over the last few weeks. But I think in general, it's a slightly easier fixture for Man City. So they don't really have to play their, strongest 11 or their strongest, 14, 15 players. I mean, they can afford to bench a couple of their important players, especially considering that, Champions League is also around the corner. And Man City and Pep would definitely want, players like KDB, players like maybe even Foden, for example. Even Cancelo could be benched this week. I mean, it's a very high possibility that he can get benched this week, considering that they have Walker and Zinchenko to kind of fill in the gaps. So I think if I had KDB, and in this case I had KDB, I think I would have been a little more worried. But I think Foden, considering that he came off a little early. Yes, I know that he's also a very important player, but there are options even when it comes to Phil Foden, right? I think KDB in his full fitness in his prime, I think is very difficult to replace. I mean, you can still argue that Gundogan could be an ideal replacement, but I still feel Foden has probably a slightly higher chance of starting this game and rather than as compared to KDB, for example. So in case if you already have Ronaldo, you don't have to do this move. You can easily captain him. In case if you don't have a Man United attacker and you're looking for a captainable option, I think then this move makes a lot more sense, where you take out Foden and you get Bruno and you captain him, because a lot of people are going to captain the likes of Bruno Fernandes. Maybe not Ronaldo that much. Probably his ownership's not going to be beyond 100%. Again, I might be wrong, because we still get a few surprises in terms of how FPL functions. But I think in general, having one United attacker is really, really important. So if you don't have Ronaldo, then go for it. If you already have Ronaldo, then I'll probably avoid this transfer this particular week, because Foden, if he starts against Norwich, is point this there are points potential there. So Satyan, you're asking my plans with Martinelli. So it's an interesting one. There are two ways to go about this. Again, Martinelli getting a red card was definitely not ideal, especially when you had used your wildcard, or when I was on my wildcard. Now there are ways that we can deal with this. The first way is to basically just keep him. Play the he I think he's not going to be there for the Brentford fixture, but then you play the other fixture and hope that he gets something. Again, I'm not. Arsenal versus Wolves was tight last time around. I think it's not going to be any different. Yes, this one is at home, is at the Emirates, so I think there still might be a little bit difference in terms of how Arsenal are playing or how Arsenal are attacking, and Wolves might just shut up shop and might be very, very tight at the back. They might not concede a lot of chances and all that stuff, but in general, I think it's going to be a tight game. And I would have Martinelli for that. So at least I have that one game we covered. Now it's that question about whether I really want to get another Arsenal player, which I can against Brentford. Brentford have not been that great. I know Brentford won the reverse fixture, but that was very early in the season. I think that was the first game of the season, and things have changed massively. Post that. So I think Arsenal is still a very good attacking side. Defensively, also they've done decently well. So if I really want to attack that Brentford fixture, I would have to take a hit, considering that I would be making the Fernandes to Son move, and I just have one free transfer. So this particular transfer, which is taking out Martinelli, would be costing me 4 points. Now, do I really want to spend 4 points and for one particular fixture? I mean, it still might be worth it, considering that I go for somebody like a Saka, for example, who's playing against Brentford, and he could do decently well in that game. But I think it's a tricky one. I probably might not do it. I probably just might roll with it, considering that I still want Martinelli in the long term. I think I'm okay holding Martinelli for now. This might change, but I don't really see a lot of other options. I mean, of course, I can go to a Rafinha, for example, who has decent fixtures afterwards. I already have a Aston Villa attacker, so I think I'm pretty well covered there. I probably wouldn't want to, invest in another Man United player, or maybe even a Spurs player. I think another option that I could have is going for a Leicester player, but they don't have a double game week. They do have a game in 27 now, so that might just be okay. But I still might not go for a Leicester player. The other options are probably going for a Burnley, midfielder, somebody like a Cornet, for example, who has a double game week, who has in fact two double game weeks. So if I really have to do a move, or take a call, I think I'll probably go Cornet instead. I think he's fit. I think he should be fine for the upcoming game weeks. Of course, if he gets an injury, or if he's not fit, then it's a different issue. But I think in general, going for another Arsenal player might not be the best move for this. I might just go for Cornet instead, and get at least at least three fixtures, three starting fixtures, maybe a sub appearance, or maybe even four fixtures out of him, right? I think that looks like a better move, and then probably I can get off Cornet, and then I can probably go to a Wolves player, maybe, and I can go back to an Arsenal player because Arsenal still has decent fixtures. So the option is open, but I have to take a hit for it, and I again, let's see if I really want to do that hit. Can you suggest a wildcard must-haves? Yes. So I think on a wildcard, I would definitely have. I know there are a lot of people who are going for somebody like a Pope or a David De Gea, but I think in general I would have. I really like the combination of Ramsdale and Sanchez. I think these two are a really good combination. Yes, of course, if you want to save some money, you can go Sanchez or David De Gea and maybe a Foster. But I think these are two really, really good players. I at least feel that Ramsdale is definitely a must-have. He's getting a lot of save points. He's making a lot of saves. He's generally been very good. Arsenal have been pretty good. The fixtures are okay. So I think there are clean sheets, there are save points, there is bonus points potential as well. So he's definitely a must have. Whether I go for a cheaper second keeper or maybe an expensive second keeper, I think Ramsdale is definitely a must have for your wildcard team. I think players like Trent and Cancelo are automatic, selection, so I don't really have to go there. Again, I know I would still call them must-haves, but if your must-have is somebody who's probably a differential on all of that stuff, then probably not. I think in general, Trent and Cancelo are the ones that you would definitely have on your wildcard draft. Uh, and then you can really differentiate. So in defense, I don't think so. Yes, you can go for Dean, but then you can also go for Tierney. So I don't think so. These are must-have defenders. So I probably just stick to these two. I'm not trusting any. I don't really trust the Spurs defense or the United defense to call them must-have picks. To be very honest, I think there are options. There are different ways that you can do this. In terms of a midfield, I think definitely Salah is. If you're wildcarding now, I think you have to get Salah. Coutinho is a really good option. Bowen is still a very good option. And I think these two or three are really must-have players that you probably would have or would want to have, which around which you will probably base your entire or the other remaining players in your team. I can say Coutinho as well. I don't know if I mentioned Coutinho, but Coutinho is also a really, really good option. Fernandes, not a must-have in general. If you have Ronaldo, for example, uh, I think a must-have would be a United attacker. Whether you go for Ronaldo, whether you go for Bruno. Bruno is the more preferred choice according to my understanding. But a Man United attacker is definitely a must-have in your wildcard team. Across your forwards, I think you can really chop and change, and there are multiple options that you can go with. But I think if you're looking to save some money, I think Broja is a really good option. And I think he's sort of a must-have because he allows you to save money. Southampton have good fixtures from 27 onwards, and I think you can even play him in the in the easier fixtures, medium sort of fixtures, because he's shown that he can score goals. He's shown that he can play well, and I think he's a decent option to have. Rest again, the other two spots are again as your midfielder, maybe a couple of spots in your defense. I think they're very flexible. I think these would be the must-have or the players that you would probably want to base your wild card around, and then of course you can, depending on your budget and depending on your strategy, because what you're doing in your game week 27 is also kind of dictates in terms of which players you want to go for. Or let's say if you have a specific strategy for game week 30, or maybe a strategy for game week 26, which is like a bench boost, for example, right? Then also there are certain things that you can do differently or change in terms of what you're doing with your wildcard team. I have Ramsey on my bench. Should I sub him in for Bowen or Rafinha? I think I will definitely play. I mean, so Rafinha has Everton, and I think that's a really, really good fixture. On the other hand, Aston Villa has Newcastle, which is also a decent fixture. I think it's a very, very tricky one. If I really have to go for somebody, I probably, and Bowen has Leicester. So I mean, it's actually a very tough call. I think among all teams, Leicester's defense has been really bad. I'm still not. I know that Ramsey has done really well, and his attacking returns have been really high, especially considering that he's 4.7 or whatever he is, less than 5 million. So you would probably want to target that. But I think on the other hand, West Ham have a decent fixture. I think Leicester can still concede chances and goals. I think Bowen has done really well. So if I really have to go for one particular option, I think it's a very, very tricky one. I probably just go ahead with Bowen considering his form. Uh, but yeah, I mean, you can either go for if you're not convinced, or if you feel that Leicester might be a tricky opposition, you can even go for Rafinha, who's playing Everton. And Everton, we all know Everton have a lot of injuries. They have a lot of players, not in action. They are really struggling in defense. Lampard is also not a very defensive-minded coach, so a manager. So he's probably not gonna, of course, he's gonna focus and at least try to get the basic things in order. But he's not like a Roy Hodgson, for example, who will be defensive-minded, or maybe even a Benitez, who was defensive-minded. Of course, it didn't work out at Everton, but in general, I think I'll still prefer Bowen, but I mean Rafinha is an equally good choice. Out of the all the three options, I'll probably bench Ramsey, and it's going to be very close between the other two, Bowen or Rafinha. My personal preference is Bowen. Bruno captain today over Ronaldo? I think so. I mean, if you have both, I'll definitely go with Bruno. I think he's the better pick. I think he gets more minutes. I think he probably will get more involved. Ronaldo has not scored in a long time now. It feels like it's a very very long time, considering it's his longest goal drought in the last decade or so. So that really speaks volumes in terms of what's happening with him and Man United. But I think in general, if you have to go for either of them, I'd definitely go Bruno over Ronaldo. One major factor, as I mentioned earlier in the stream as well, is the expected minutes. I mean, I'm expecting Ronaldo to probably just play about 120, 130, maybe even 150 minutes. I think Bruno could be very close to 90 in both games, which is 180. So I think overall looks like a better move. Apologies for sharing my team. That's absolutely fine, Mark. I mean, you can always share your team, and we would. And in case if you want to know anything about it, you can absolutely do that. No need to apologize for it. I don't know who to start. David De Gea. So you have David De Gea in goal. You have Cancelo, Trent, Lamptey, Laporte, Bruno, Jota, Bowen, Rafinha, Foden, Antonio. Your bench is Ward, Edward, Watkins, and Johnson. I think so. I mean, the other option that you can probably go for is you won't bench Lamptey. I know that he's probably not a 90-minute man in both games, but I still feel you won't bench Lamptey. I think Cancelo, Trent are decent options. Bruno's, of course, for the double game week, and if he's your captain, I think he's still decent. The only option that you can probably bench is maybe Antonio, but again, against Leicester, I probably won't. So I think this is probably the best you can get. I would have probably wanted to get in Watkins, but I don't really see any other options which are better, or which are worse, in fact, which probably don't deserve to be in the 11. So I think this should be the best lineup. Yeah. You can keep your first sub as Watkins and second sub as Edward. I mean, that's probably something that you can do. I think in general, I mean, the team looks good. Martinelli is gonna miss in this game, and Arsenal miss few game weeks. Yeah, so if you want to get over or get rid of Martinelli, you can absolutely do that. I mean, there's definitely merit in taking out Martinelli and maybe going for a Cornet, for example, maybe going for a Coutinho if you're looking long term strategy. You can also, if that's your move to get to a Bruno, maybe get to a Salah. I mean, there's absolutely merit in doing that. I would have to take a hit for it, and I'm just not there yet. I still might end up doing that because I know it's a double game week. I know a fair few amount of teams are doubling, so there could be hits. There could be a few people who are taking hits. So on an average, the hit might not be that bad, especially if I go for somebody like a Burnley player, for example, which also gives me four fixtures, or 2+2 fixtures in two consecutive weeks. So yeah, there's merit in taking him out for sure. How is married life treating me? I think it's been fine so far. I mean, I've been busy with a few stuff at home, setting up the new house and all of that stuff. But that's taking a bit of time. In terms of the professional stuff as well, I've not been able to give too much time to streams and too much time to FPL in general. But it's generally been very very hectic. A lot of things are still fresh in terms of what happened, how it happened. So uh, pretty excited, pretty pepped up in terms of the next coming time, and I think it's going to be a good one. Which Arsenal mid to get in 26? Saka, Martinelli, SR, Odegaard, and also if you are tight on budget, is keeping Ramsey a good option, or switching to someone like a Rafinha, Coutinho, or Madison? So there are two parts to this question. The first part is which Arsenal option is the best one. I think standout definitely has to be Saka. I mean, if you're looking at midfielders, it has to be Saka. Martinelli probably would have matched him, but now that he's gotten that red card, I mean, He's definitely not an option. ESR is still not getting starts, and again, I'm not very confident that he'll probably get two starts in those two double game week fixtures. Odegaard has been really good for Arsenal, but he's not an FPL player. I mean, he's not that great from an FPL perspective. Yes, he will get into good positions. Yes, he will run the plays a lot of times. He'll deliver really good balls. He'll hold up the midfield, and he'll try to do as much as he can in terms of making the attack tick, but that generally doesn't translate into FPL points, right? And we need FPL players. The reason we are looking at certain players is that because of their point scoring potential, because of how many goals they can score. Maybe they can give assists. Maybe they can keep clean sheets. Maybe they're a defender who can also score from set plays or stuff like that, or maybe an attacking defender, right? So we're looking at players who can give us attacking returns, and I generally feel Odegaard is probably not somebody who will give a lot of attacking returns. So I think Saka has to be the standard option. If I have to go with the second one here, I'll probably go ESR still, because he still has shown that he has impact, or he's made impact coming from the bench, and he can absolutely do that. And the fixtures are there for him to maybe score an attacking return, maybe even get a couple of attacking returns. You never know. But Martinelli, because he's out, I think he's definitely out of consideration. Um, if you are tight on budget, now coming to the second part of the question, if you're tight on budget, I think Ramsey is a decent option to go for. I would generally prefer to have somebody like maybe I'm not there with Madison just yet. I know he's been doing well, but Leicester have been so bad. The players around Madison are playing so bad. The defense has been so leaky, and is generally just not having a great feeling around Madison. But I like Rafinha for the double game week. I know it's a tough double game week, but again, Leeds, considering they're kind of back to where they were last season, I think they're playing really well. At least in terms of attack, now the box is kind of ticking. And if you know what I mean, and I think Rafinha is a decent option. Coutinho definitely is probably the best option to go for. I think he's more nailed. I know a lot of people ask me, is he really nailed? Is he gonna start or maybe last 90 minutes in every game? He might not last 90, but I think he starts majority of the games. I think he's really really important in that attack, among the attacking midfielders. And I think players like him, players like Watkins, players like Bundia, the attacking movement that they have, that really helps somebody like a Ramsey to make those Lampardesque or Gerrard style runs late into the box where he's arriving, taking shots, getting the ball, getting that pass, finishing maybe a one-on-one with the keeper. So I think for that value, I think he's a really good option. If you can upgrade to a Coutinho, I mean, I'm definitely all for it. But I think if you're on a tight budget and if you're looking for a cheap player, I think he's a decent option. Raghav, you've mentioned your team. Thank you for that. Your team is David De Gea, Ramsdale, Trent, Cancelo, Cucurella, Robertson, Livramento. Among midfielders, you have Gray, Foden, Bowen, Saka, Jota. Among forwards, you have Ronaldo, Watkins, Dennis. Gray to sub 6 million or hold. So saying that should you do a Gray to take out Gray to a sub 6 million midfielder or hold to game week 27 and then transfer to 7 million for a hit? Give me 26 thoughts. Ronnie, Jota, Foden to Salah, Son, Weghorst. I think hmm. I think it's I mean, you can definitely hmm. Yeah, so in terms of your game week 26 team, I think Ronaldo, Jota, Foden to Salah, Son. I mean, you're taking out Jota, who has a double game week. I'm okay with Ronaldo and Foden being out, because I mean, you eventually will be getting rid of them. Foden, because there'll be a lot of rotation. Ronaldo, because again, we are only getting United players because of the double game week. So I think Salah, Son, Weghorst is a good option. You're getting Weghorst for those at least 3 or maybe even 4 fixtures. I don't know how many he'll start, but you're getting the double game week for Son as well, who has decent fixtures post that. Salah, again, could be a triple captain option that particular week. So I think I definitely like these 3 options to go for. Uh, I mean, you don't have to, you know, you can save that transfer. You can also go for that third player in 27. But I mean, in 26, I'm assuming this will definitely be a transfer. So if the question was this week, maybe not. But if it's next week, I mean, you can definitely do it and have this Salah, Son, Weghorst combination. I don't think so. You'd have to do it this week. I mean, if Gray to a 6 or a 7 million midfielder this week is the question, I don't think so. You definitely need it. You have Jota. Should I get Salah? I mean, depends on what's your status or what's your plan with Bruno and Ronaldo. If you don't have them, or if you don't have any of, or maybe even one of them, then you probably get to a Bruno first, uh, and then you get to a Salah. But again, I mean, it depends. If you already have one of Bruno or a Bruno or Ronaldo, I think you probably are okay considering that you have a Liverpool attacker covered. I mean, it's not a huge priority, but I'll just be a little worried in because if this was a KDB, I think the switch would have been a lot more easier because he might not start. He's a lot of value, but you're taking out Jota, you're getting in Salah. I mean, in the long run, it's fine. You can absolutely do it, but I'll probably, in case if you don't have a triple up with somebody like let's say like a Robertson, for example. Let's say if you have Trent and Robertson and this is your third option, then I'll definitely prefer Salah. But if you only have a Trent and you're looking, or you should probably look at three Liverpool players for the double, then you should probably have Jota and Salah together and not, taking out Jota and then getting in Salah. I have David De Gea, Foster, Trent, Cancelo, Reguilon, Livramento, Bruno, Bowen, Trossard, Foden, Jota. Among forwards, you have Antonio, DCL, Edward, 2.9 million in the bank, suggested transfer. I think, I mean, I personally don't like Trossard, but I understand why he's there in your team for the double in 25, and it would feel wrong to take him out before the double game week. I think Antonio is definitely one player, and Antonio even Dominic Calvert-Lewin, not a huge fan in terms of how he's been there. I mean, he's been injured for a long time. He's come back, and it's not been that great. The fixtures for Everton, let's just quickly see the fixtures for Everton. Yeah, so they have Leeds, Southampton, which are okay, but then it gets a bit tricky. So I'll probably want to, and they don't even have a double so far. So I'll probably want to get rid of DCL first and then Antonio. And then there are multiple options to go for. You can go for, you already have Edward, so you have at least one striker who has a double game week in 26. You can go for Weghorst as well. But again, you don't have to do that move this particular week. You can definitely wait for that particular transfer. I generally feel, I mean, you don't really have to make a move. Yes, I know that you don't have Ronaldo, but you have Bruno covered with him. Jota to Salah, I don't think so. Yeah, that won't be a possibility. Even Foden to Salah won't be a possibility considering how much money you have in the bank. So I'll probably, and I won't do these two players to the Son move this week. I mean, so I think I'll probably just roll. I have two transfers next game week, and then I can probably make some more changes. I can probably take out Livramento, maybe get in a double game week defender, maybe an Arsenal defender, and I can then probably downgrade DCL Antonio to maybe a Broja also, for example, get a little more money from somewhere else, and maybe get to Salah, or probably you just go Bruno to Salah directly. That also is an option. I'd probably just save this week. I don't think so you need a transfer. I was looking for Man United player, but my current midfield looks like KDB, Coutinho, Rafinha, Jota, Bowen in bank, 2.6 million with only one game week free transfer. What to do? I think I'll definitely do KDB to Bruno. I think that probably is the right move to do. I know with KDB, you're taking him out ahead of the Norwich fixture, and he could really do well if he starts, but will he start? Considering that he started the last two in the league and also in the cup, maybe not. With Champions League coming up, there's a high chance that he gets rested. So I probably won't trust him to play the full 90 anyway. So I think I know he's still a differential and you can gain a lot more, but I think not having Bruno, for example, and if you're looking for a United player, not having Bruno would probably end up costing you a lot of ranks and a lot of points. So I think it's a decent move if you don't have a United player, and if you're looking for one, and I think KDB to Bruno looks like the straightforward transfer. Guys, please make sure you like the stream and you subscribe to the channel as well if you've not done that so far. Really appreciate your support. I think I'll actually make the move because the other options, planning ahead and doing Foden to Salah, DCL to Weghorst, and I want DCL this week or lastly just burn the transfer. I mean, if you want to burn the transfer, then it's a different thing if you have a couple of transfers. But yeah, I mean, in general, I wouldn't have I know Everton are playing Leeds and they could be leaky and all that stuff, but I'm still not there with Everton. I know they can still do well, but if you want to burn your transfer, I mean, you can definitely do. Foden to Salah looks well. DCL to Weghorst is also okay. I'll probably do if you already have DCL. Yeah, if you already have DCL, then probably just keep him and not do Weghorst this week. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Or just keep that transfer. Maybe I don't know if you have two free transfers. Maybe try to use one somewhere else. Maybe among the keepers. Maybe in your defenders. Maybe get a proper fifth defender if you don't have one. I'm not sure if that's an option, but yeah, I mean you can definitely do that. Which one do I start out of Guehi, Sufal, and Dennis? Hmm. I think I'll probably Watford has Brighton. I'll definitely not start Dennis. I'll probably start Sufal out of the three options. What are your thoughts on Trippier? I think I'm assuming it's Trippier. It's not Tripper, but yeah. This can be interesting. Oh, I think so. I mean, I've done some research. I've given it some thought in terms of what to do with Newcastle players because Newcastle has been really really good. Um, in terms of what they've done, especially after the new signings in the last 3 or 4 games. Uh, they are getting decent results. They're playing decent. I mean, Trippier is a decent option to go for. He's not that bad. But let's see. I think yeah, he's 5 million, and I think he has a flag. I'm not sure whether he's injured or not. So we'll probably have to check that. If you have any more information, or if you guys know about his injury, just make sure that you mention that in the chat because I'm probably not aware of what's happening there. But I think in general, don't really trust the Newcastle defense too much. I mean, the games are also not that easy. They have Villa, West Ham, Brentford is a decent fixture. Then they have Brighton, Chelsea, Crystal Palace, Tottenham, Wolves, Leicester, Norwich. Then they have Liverpool, Man City. I mean, the fixtures are actually tough. I would probably not want to have a defender. I know that he's a 5 million defender. I think there are a lot of better options that you can go for. You can probably go for a 5 million Arsenal defender. I think that's probably a better move. If you really want to go for a differential, then maybe it's probably worth the shout. But I'll still say there are better options to go for, and I probably won't go to Trippier. It could be interesting. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just not there yet with Trippier. Considering that Newcastle are still, I mean, they're still a leaky side. There's it's not that they will start keeping clean sheets in every game. It's definitely not going to happen. But yeah, from an attacking perspective, it could be interesting. He's definitely not going to be owned by a lot of managers or by majority managers. So if you're looking for a differential, I mean, he's worth a shout, but I'll probably won't go there. You Brian, you're saying that you really don't like selling Foden and I'm getting the best captain. Yeah, I mean, that should be okay. Should I double up on the Man City defense? I'm wildcarding. I probably won't. You already have Trent, Cancelo, Sufal. I won't have Sufal on my wildcard for sure. I would not have a Man City double defense for sure. If I really want to wildcard right now, I'll probably have a double Liverpool defense. I think that's a really good way to differentiate and have Robertson Trent together with a Salah, for example. So I'll probably not double up on the Man City defense for sure. Saksham, your question is getting Salah and Villa as Ramsey with a -4, right? I didn't get the question. I think Salah and so you're saying Ramsey to Salah for a -4? If that's the question, I mean for a hit it's okay. It's not the worst transfer. I probably won't. Again, it's Salah. So if you depends again what you have in your team elsewhere. Whether you have a Bruno Fernandes, whether you have a decent captainable option, maybe a Ronaldo, for example. Depends on that. But if you asking if taking out Ramsey and getting in Salah for a hit, I think it's a decent move. I mean, it's a long term move. You're gonna get Salah. You're probably gonna captain him next week. Maybe even triple captain him next week. So I think that should be okay. Dallo or Cucurella, I think I'll still take a chance with Diego Dallo. I know Cucurella probably is more nailed, but yeah, I mean, if you look at game time, I think Cucurella could have more minutes, but Yeah, I mean United are still not. They're still not that great in terms of keeping clean sheets. They've not been. Dallo has been not been that great. I mean, I know he's definitely an upgrade over the likes of Van Bissaka, but again, he's not done anything spectacular in terms of getting attacking returns. I'll probably, if I have to start somebody, or if this is a starting question, I'll probably start Cucurella. But if you're getting in one player, or if this is like a transfer question in terms of which transfer to make, I'll probably just get Dallo and probably save a little bit money there. Especially considering that you can invest that money elsewhere in midfield and make decent upgrades. If not significant upgrades, probably decent upgrades. Jen, you're saying, should I do Kane and Brownhill for Sargent and Pogba and then getting in Salah for Pogba next week? I'll probably won't do Sargent and Pogba in the first place. If the question is Kane and Brownhill for Sargent and Pogba this week, I don't think so. I mean, I probably won't do that move. Ansh, yeah, I'm glad too that we did the Salah transfer early. I think it was pretty late, or late in the night, early in the morning. I don't know. I didn't sleep that night and I made that transfer. So yeah, let's see. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, we'll see what we can do there. But yeah, Captain Mope, good option. I mean, I want Captain Mope for sure. I mean, if I have to go for a differential captain, I'll probably go for Salah. If I really want to go super risky and super differential, I'll probably captain one of, maybe one of Bowen, maybe a Foden, or maybe even KDB. If you have KDB, I know it's a super risky move, but I think that's still better than captaining Mope. I Yes, he can get a goal, maybe an attacking return, but I generally don't think so. He's a captainable option. Yeah. Start Edward or Bowen. I'll start Bowen for sure. Yeah. Edward, yes, we can expect that he didn't start the last game, so he might get minutes. But considering that Crystal Palace have a lot of players back from injury, from in the starting lineup, from suspension and all that stuff, I think he's okay. I mean, he might still start, but I still feel Bowen is the better pick. McAllister hat trick coming in this week. Yeah. Yeah, I mean he's a very frustrating player if you know what I mean. I mean he will get a goal. Maybe he's playing even in some appearances he scored this week. He's got a double digit haul as well, and I think that's what made a lot of people really interested in him. But in general, yeah, I mean super rare to see somebody like a McAllister. It's like again, I don't want to say the same example or same team, but it's like Welbeck getting a hat trick, or maybe a brace. That looks a bit difficult. Start Antonio or Lucas Digne. I'll probably start Lucas Digne. I think there is a decent potential. Clean sheet might not be that straightforward, but I think there's good attacking potential there. And I think if you already have Bowen, then you probably definitely start Lucas Digne. Who to sell, Foden or De Bruyne? If you have both, I'll definitely sell De Bruyne. I'll keep Foden. Foden to a sub 6 million sort of a move could be done in 26 as well. De Bruyne could be a good placeholder for you. Maybe get Bruno this week if you don't have a United player, or maybe you just directly go to Salah. I mean that's also an option. All non-Sana owners are gonna become Burnley supporters this week. I mean, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of talk in terms of his record against Burnley hasn't been that great. Burnley, they've been okay. They've not, of course, they're the bottom club, at the moment. But I think at home they're still probably fine. Maybe not as bad as they're away. But Liverpool away this season have been really really good. I mean I think they're probably about 9 to 10 goals ahead of Man City when it comes to their away record this season. I think it's really really showing. So I think yeah, can't say that Salah is not going to score. I think he will score. I think he's going to get a major haul. And of course, I have in my team right now, and I would definitely want him to to go absolutely crazy. But yeah, let's see. Mahrez or Foden? For a punt, I'll definitely like Mahrez. I think he's on pens. I think he starts. he definitely will get minutes in the league, considering that Foden and KDB might get rested for the Champions League games. So I think, for me personally, if you really, really like a differential, I think it's Mahrez. If you want to go a bit safer, then definitely Foden. Latest Romano tweet says that Cavani is set to leave in June. Yes, I also read that. Looks like a high possibility. I think it's with Cavani, with Ronaldo, I just feel it's not worked out that great. I mean, uh, we also have to understand that both of these forward players are, in the twilight of their careers. Yes, they're still world class players. Yes, they've been really, really good over the past decade, decade and a half, almost 2 decades now. But I just feel it's not worked out for both of them. I mean, Cavani's not been that great. Yes, he gives a different dimension to what we can do in terms of our number nine player, where he can press a lot more, where he can run after balls, lose balls. He can his positioning is a lot better, I think. But yeah, Ronaldo is more of a clinical finisher. I think he has a good, powerful shot in him as well. He's decent on free kick. Yes, I know he's not scored a free kick in a long, long time, but I think he's generally been okay. But yeah, in general, I think both of them would leave. I also don't think Ronaldo would stay beyond this season. But let's see. Who do you captain between Ronaldo, Bruno, double game week? Preferably, if you have both, definitely Bruno. I think he has more minutes in him. I think he has a better attacking potential. I think he has more outlets to points. And there is a slight possibility, I mean, a very, very slight possibility that he might be on penalties, considering that Ronaldo missed the last one. I mean, that could definitely be a possibility for sure. Self Foden for Fernandez. If you don't have Ronaldo, definitely do that. If you already have Ronaldo, I'll probably just hold Foden for Norwich. When are Villa gonna double? I think. Let's just quickly see Ben Crennel's, if we've had any updates. Let's just quickly see Twitter if we have anything there. I think it's definitely not in the next couple of weeks. I think it'll definitely be beyond that. Let's just see. Yes, Aston Villa. Yeah, looks like that it's probably not going to happen in the next couple of weeks. Could be after game week 30. Could be before as well, depending on how the other teams have their fixtures scheduled. I think could be in 28 as well. I'm not too sure on that, but yeah, there is a chance that could happen as well. So, yeah. We'll take up the next one. Gray to Coutinho or Ulisse and Antonio or King to Weghorst. So Gray to Coutinho, I think that's a good move. I think it's a better move than Ulisse. I think if I really, really want to trust a player who could give me better attacking output or consistent attacking output, Coutinho is the one to go for. If you're very, very tight on money, or if you just want if you don't want to spend too much money after taking out Gray, I mean, you can definitely go for Ulisse, but Coutinho is the preferred option. And Antonio or King to Weghorst. I'll probably hold King. If you already have Bowen, I think you can sell Antonio. If you don't have Bowen, then probably it's a different it's a different conversation to have. But I think in general, if you have Bowen, hold your King move. I don't do that before the double game week 26. You can sell King after game week 26, and you can sell Antonio now. I think these are decent moves. Wildcard setting up for next week. Yeah, I mean, you can definitely use your wildcard. I think you would. Depends on if you're wildcarding next week, then you can definitely not use the triple captainship or the bench boost. So you definitely weigh out which one is better, or which chip gives you maximum advantage. I still feel using the triple captain is probably going to be a bit safer and a bit more comfortable. If you may. Bench boost is a tricky one. I still feel Salah has a chance to get rested. Maybe come off. He doesn't generally come off, so we would expect if he starts, he plays the whole 90, or maybe closer to 90. But I mean, if you have a decent single game week, bench, or maybe a couple of maybe a player or two from double game weeks, which could be tricky. But if you have players who have a good single game week, maybe let's say like I think West Ham have decent fixtures, have a decent fixture in 26. I think Villa also has a decent fixture in 26. Yeah, so West Ham has Newcastle, Aston Villa has Watford. So I think they're decent games. So if you have a decent bench, even having single game week players, I think you can definitely do that. Wildcarding is a bit tricky next week, but again, it's very team dependent. I would never say it's a wrong strategy. I think it depends on your team and in terms of what you want to do. It also depends whether you're free hitting in 27, because if you are, then you can definitely go very heavy on Arsenal and Liverpool, and you don't really have to worry about that blank, because then you use a free hit, get in Man City players. I think we're facing Everton, if I'm not wrong, in 27. Yeah, it's Everton versus Man City. Get in, we have Burnley assets, maybe double up, if not triple up, maybe at least double up on Burnley players. Get somebody from Leeds, for example. Man United also has a decent fixture. It's not the worst game in that game week. So I think there are options, and using a wildcard in 26 is definitely an option. You would probably want to double up or go a bit heavy on the Arsenal and the Liverpool players, and then balance it out with players who probably can give you 27 and 30 if your plan is to not free hit in either of these 2 weeks, or if your plan is to go for a free hit in one of these 2 weeks, then you probably ignore the other players and go for a mix of maybe some cheaper players, some differentials, because wildcard is definitely one way you can really differentiate and get ahead of the curve, right? Get different, be a little different, and try things a bit differently from the template, which could be really really helpful. Gaming on your team is David De Gea, Lamptey, Sufal, Trent, Cancelo, Reguilon, Bowen, Jota, Brownhill, Foden, Rafinha, Ronaldo, Antonio, and King. 3.6 million in the bank in true free transfers, transfer suggestion, who to captain. I definitely see Ronaldo in there, so I'll probably captain Ronaldo. 3.6 million would, I'm not sure whether 3.6 would be enough for from a move from Foden to. I don't think so. That'll be enough. Yeah, you'll probably have to maybe make some other downgrades. It's to 4.8, so I think you're 1.2 short, and I mean you could probably take out Sufal, maybe even take out Antonio and go to a cheaper striker. That you can definitely do. I probably would hold King. I mean, uh, Foden to Salah and maybe Antonio or a Sufal, one of the West Ham players. Two, maybe a different option is an option. Considering that you already have Bowen, I probably would take out Antonio, and I can get to a Broja. I can you can I don't think so. If you go to a Weghorst, you will still have that money for Salah. Let me just quickly check that. So if you get in Antonio, you take out Antonio. Let's say you probably gain about 7.5, 7.6, and then you have yeah, I think you'll be definitely short of uh, getting to a Salah. But maybe if you get you know Antonio out to a Broja, for example, I think you can make that move. Do you think going early for Salah in 25 will save a price rise? I think yes, it already would have. I think Salah would have increased in price. I think I went on him early. Yes, he's 12.9. So I went on him early because I had, I think he has had couple of price rises, after the game week 24 deadline. That will help you in gaining some team value. That really helped me because I had the exact same money for Salah, which was 12.8 million, and he was 12.8 million. He was about to have a price rise, so I went with him. Again, a lot could have happened. Maybe news on him getting rested. Maybe news on maybe he's probably injured. He generally doesn't get injured. But again, FPL is a funny game at the end of the day, and it's a risk. But I think yeah, I mean. Going on him early definitely did save a price size. I got him for 12.8. Now he's already 12.9. I think he's definitely going to be 13 very, very soon. Considering that, a lot of people, I mean, his ownership right now is 43.7, which is the absolute ownership. But I think it's probably going to be maybe even closer to about 50 to 55, maybe even 60%, till game week 26 deadline comes. So I think it'll definitely save a lot many price rises. In 26, yes, of course. Definitely at least one, if not two. wildcard this week, I mean, then getting, yeah, I mean, you can wildcard this week, of course, and you can go for triple captain uh, in 26. I mean, that's a really good strategy. Can't get Robertson, then probably just stick with a Jota, Salah, and a Trent combination. I mean, Robertson is a really good way to differentiate. You can argue if it's the best way or not. Maybe, maybe not. I personally feel that it is. Over the next few fixtures, I think Jota's probably gonna get reduced minutes, especially when Mane comes back. Diaz will definitely share or shave off some minutes. Could be off Mane, could be off Jota as well. Then there's Firmino as well in the equation. So I think I'll probably just save myself that trouble and probably go for Robertson, who looks nailed. He's done well. He's played really, really well. His attacking numbers have been decent. Liverpool have a good clean sheet potential in general. So I think Robertson in the long run, maybe you're not seeing it right now, and in hindsight, last week you would say that Jota got a couple of goals, he got 3 bonus points, and Robertson just got a clean sheet, right? So, but I think overall, in terms of the next few game weeks, I think Robertson's gonna outscore Jota for sure. Who's better to bring, Weghorst or Edward? I think Weghorst is the better option. If you're getting one now, I think Weghorst is the better one to go for. No, Burnley's double game week is not that easy. I mean, I probably don't expect him to score in any of those games. So Burnley has Brighton and Tottenham, maybe a goal, maybe an attacking return, but their fixtures in 27 look a lot better. I mean, Crystal Palace and Leicester, considering how they're playing right now, they can concede goals. And I think if I really want to go for somebody, maybe just go for Weghorst right now and probably bench him for the Liverpool. If you have to bench him, then bench him for the Liverpool game. Because on the other hand, Palace also don't have great. I mean, they have decent fixtures. Brentford is okay. Then they have Burnley in 27. Then 26, Watford is also decent, though Watford have tightened. The fixture is Chelsea, which is also not easy, right? So I'll probably just take that chance and try to attack the extra two fixtures or the extra fixture that I have in 27. So that will probably be my strategy. We'll take up the next one. KDB to Bruno now and then Salah next week. So if you again my issue with this is that if you don't have any United player, then you do Bruno. If you already have Ronaldo set in your team, then you probably get Salah. I think that's you already have a good captainable option and a Man United asset covered up in for your double game week, and I think going for somebody like a Salah directly makes a lot more sense. Should I captain Son, Cancelo, Jota, or Trent? If you want to go for a double, a single game week player, and not one of Ronaldo and Bruno, I think out of all these options, I'll probably like Jota. Son has a tough game. I mean, Wolves are not going to be that easy. So I don't probably expect Tottenham to do maybe score a lot of or maybe even create a lot because Wolves are generally a tight side. So I'll probably go with Jota here, considering that he's an attacker and you don't really want to go too differential, even if it's a single game week player. Otherwise, Cancelo, Trent are all good options. I'll probably favor Cancelo a little bit over Trent. Broja or Dennis, whom to play if you have to play one this week? I think I'll probably play Broja because United have not been that strong defensively. They concede a lot of chances. They make a lot of mistakes. I mean, it's just too frustrating to see how United have been playing defensively. They concede so many mistakes and so many chances that and especially if we have Harry Maguire in our team, I think we're definitely going to concede, and we will have Harry Maguire in our team. Man United will start with Harry Maguire, so you definitely go ahead with Broja. I think jokes apart, he's the better play. Which to play from? Watkins, Broja, Olise, Reguilon. So I probably won't play Reguilon. I think Wolves again could be a tricky game. I think so. That's probably one name eliminated. I'll definitely play Broja as one option, and Watkins is against Newcastle. I think is against Newcastle. It's away. Um, The other option is Olise. Olise has Palace's Brentford. So I think Broja is definitely going to be one. The other one, if you have a Lucas Digne, maybe if you have a Coutinho in there, maybe if you have a Ramsey, for example, I'll probably start Olise. I think I generally will start Olise. I think he could be. I think Brentford have been really bad, and I think Olise might be a little better. Should I bring in Foden for Bernardo as a minus four? Definitely not, David. I don't think so. You should take out Bernardo and get in Foden for a hit, that too. I mean, I'll definitely look elsewhere. Look at a double game week player instead. You would have to lose Coutinho to. Yeah, I mean, probably not worth it. So, yeah. Best captain if I don't have Bruno Ronaldo. I think the best captain if you don't have Bruno Ronaldo is definitely Salah. If you have Salah, if you don't have Salah, uh, then you probably go with one of the Man City players. If you don't have a Man City player, then you probably go with Jota. If you don't have Jota, which is, I think, somewhere down there, you'll find a balance of players that you can go for that I've just mentioned. But in case if you have none of these players, which is a rare possibility, you probably can go with a Trent or maybe a Cancelo, for example. Best captain. Oh, okay. I've covered this. Should I go for Mope or Broja? Short term Mope for sure, but if you're looking at long term fixtures and a long term play, I think yeah, I think Broja is looking a lot better. I think the fixtures are good. They have Norwich, Watford, Burnley, Leeds. Villa can seed as well. Everton is a really good fixture. I think I'll definitely go with Broja. Among these two options, definitely Broja. Start Tony or Ramsey. I will start Ramsey. Yeah. One suggestion, you've helped me a lot in FPL and I want you to do well. So if you don't mind on the subscribers, can you only comment feature and maybe answer the questions a bit faster? Yeah, I mean, I can definitely do that. Not a problem at all. Just try to talk, just like talking and probably discussing a little bit in detail so that person really understands what the thinking is here. But yeah, I can definitely do that. No problem at all. If you have Ronaldo and Bruno, how will you pick captain? I think Bruno is the better player. I've mentioned this before. Better option, more minutes, more involved in the game, and could be on pens as well. Generally, there are a lot of outlets to his points avenue, so I think I'll definitely go Bruno. Start Broja or bench over Regulon. Um, so Tottenham have Wolves. I think I'll probably start Broja against Man United. I'm not very uncomfortable not starting somebody or maybe an attacker against Man United because Man United have generally been really bad. Reguilon could have a tricky game against Wolves. Wolves are going to be they've had a tough defeat against Arsenal and they'll probably want to get things in order back again. And probably Reguilon might again Wolves don't score a lot many goals, so there could be a clean sheet, could be a very tight 0-0, 1-0 sort of a game. So there could be a clean sheet there, and if with clean sheet, Reguilon could also give you points potential. But I think I'll probably still go for that attacker and probably start Broja instead. Sanchez, Shivam, you've mentioned your team: Sanchez, Trent, Reguilon, Lamptey, Laporte. Your midfield has Bruno, Bowen, Foden. Forwards you have Firmino, King, Watkins. Subs you have King, Mora, White, Buckman. You have a benching headache between Gallagher, King, and Mora. Um, I can't see Gallagher in your team though. So mids, you have three mids. Fair enough. I think you probably would have missed Gallagher. I think if you have to bench two out of these players, yeah, I think I'll probably won't start Gallagher to be very honest. I'm not very fond of how Gallagher has turned out to be an FPL asset. I think there are multiple options at Crystal Palace now, and Patrick Vieira generally looks at the opposition, looks at what he can do with them, what are the tactics that he can employ, and his players or his the best set of players for that fixture really depends on that particular fixture, and it's not because of the players is in great form or he's been playing really well. So I think I definitely don't like Gallagher. Even if it's against Brentford, I think there are better options to go for. I can probably take a chance Yeah, I think I'd probably start with Lucas Moura. I think it could be a good differential. I know that it's against Wolves and things could be pretty tight, but I think I still won't start Gallagher and King. I think yeah, I think I'll definitely go ahead with Moura in case if he, of course, he's not starting or if he doesn't come on, then you have one of these two to come on. Bring in Coutinho, Mahrez, and why? I think I will definitely bring in Coutinho. I think the reasons are because he's more nailed. The reasons are because he's cheaper. The reasons are that he's a lot more to Aston Villa than what Mahrez is to Man City, if you get the comparative. And in general, I think with that extra money, you can do a lot, many upgrades. Coutinho is really going to tick along well. The fixtures are really good. Villa could have a double game week. Again, that's probably not a great point in terms of the whole conversation being in Coutinho's favor. But I think there are a lot of good points to get Coutinho over Mahrez. Did KDB to Bruno first free transfer left? One free transfer left, sorry, and 5.7 in the bank. Again, I mean, I don't like Gallagher to be very honest. I think you can definitely change him. Firmino is also one player which I don't think so is great from an FPL perspective. Uh, Mora is also the same. I think you probably have. I mean, you can definitely go for a better player than Lucas Moura. You have an Arsenal midfielder option. You have maybe a Villa midfielder option. So you definitely have better options to go for, and you have a lot of money in the bank as well. I mean, you can easily go to maybe one of the premium options as well. You can also get to a Son, for example. So there are a lot of options that you have, and I'll probably work on. I'll definitely try to sort out that triple Liverpool because right now it's Trent. It's reading out as Trent, and it's reading out as Firmino, which definitely needs a lot of improvement. I can get Robertson, but I have to downgrade Eduardo to King. I already have Dennis, and I mean, I probably won't do that. I mean, it's fine. If even if you don't have Robertson, it's absolutely fine. He's not gonna hurt your rank, but yeah, he's definitely a good, uh, he's definitely a great differential to be honest. Ackerman, your suggestions were great for me last week. Thanks, man. Thank you so much for your lovely words, and I hope you do really well this week and in the coming game weeks as well. Thank you for that. What do you think of grade to Fernandes and downgrade Kane to Sin Maximin, or should I use direct transfer for Kane to? I think a direct transfer for Kane to CR7. CR7 to Kane looks a lot better. Yeah, I mean, it lets you keep your premium spot if you want to keep it. If not, then you probably. How much is Saint Max? I mean, we can definitely get better options in that price range. Let's just quickly see. I think it's somewhere around 5.5, maybe 6, if I'm not wrong. Oh, he's almost 7 million. I don't know that. One of the more ignored players in FPL. Yeah, I mean, you can definitely get better players than that. So you probably, if you want to change your structure and if you want to get in that extra or maybe a premium midfielder in place, considering that the forwards have not been that great so far this season. I mean, they're not getting a lot of points. There's not one single standout option that you would really like. I mean, like for example, Salah or maybe a Son, for example. Not Son, maybe a Salah, maybe a Bruno for this particular week. Maybe a defender like Trent, for example. You want these players in your team, right? Uh, there are no forward players like that, so I mean, it's not a bad move. You can do Gray to Fernandes and probably Kane to not Saint Max. I definitely won't do Saint Max. I'll probably do Weghorst if I really want to take a chance. I think that's definitely a better option. Regulon and Edward to start. Confused on this. Edward is against Brentford, so I'll probably start him. I mean, it's a tricky one to be honest because there's no guarantee that he's gonna start this game. A lot of, as I said, a lot of new or a lot of players have come back from injury and suspensions and all that stuff for Palace. So Vieira has a lot of attacking options available for him. So I'm not too sure on Edward. I probably again I always prefer to start the attacker and maybe the forward player or the midfielder over the defender, even if it's an attacking defender. But in this case, again, I think I'll probably just start Regulon. I mean, Regulon is okay starting considering that he can get in a clean sheet. I mean, I'm not too sure of an attacking return, but he can definitely get a clean sheet. Shayan, you're saying that you calculated some stats and calculated that I would need somewhere around 55 points from KDB, Son, Ramsey, CR7, McAllister to combat Salah and get a good green arrow. Currently, I have gotten 44 points from them. I mean, so my math has generally been very weak. And yeah, if you feel this way, then definitely, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how. I'd be really interested to know how you calculated this thing. That would be interesting. If you have a free transfer and we wildcard that game week, will we get the no? I so if you have a free transfer, let's say if I had a free transfer this week, and if I press my wildcard this week, so the next game week I won't have two free transfers, so that free transfer won't get added or it won't be banked to the next game week. I'll still have one free transfer next game week. Best midfielder for 5.4 million. I think Ramsey is definitely a good option. I think you can also let's just quickly look at some stats here. Yeah, so Ramsey is definitely a decent option to go for. Olise is 4.4 as well. So if you want to go ultra cheap, you go Ramsey. Olise is also a decent option. He gives you a double game week. He also has decent fixtures. I mean, the fixtures are pretty good for Palace, and he's a very, very long. I mean, he's a decently long term hold. So I think I'll probably go ahead with these two. Other than that, I'm not too sure. Not convinced on any other players or any other team. I mean, the the Wolves players don't really stand out. Yes, Martinelli was a cheaper option, but now he's not. So I'll probably consider these two over everybody else. I think they are definitely the better options. Can you do a fast wildcard for game week 25 onwards? Yeah, so I'll just quickly check on my phone. I had made a wildcard team. Yeah, so I had made a wildcard team. I would still want to go with Ramsdale and Sanchez on my wildcard. I would definitely have Trent, Cancelo. I would have Luca Digne. Then the fourth and the fifth options are quite flexible. I mean, you can double up with Robertson, or you can go for Tierney from Arsenal. As a cheaper option, you can rather than going for Dalot, for example, you can probably double up on somebody like a Webster from Brighton, or maybe you go Dalot. I think depends on how and what strategy you're kind of employing. It also depends on what you're doing for your game week 27. The whole game week, whether you're using a free hit, whether you're using a free hit in 30, maybe later. So I think if you are using your free hit, if you don't really have to worry about Arsenal and Liverpool players, so you can go max out on Arsenal. I mean, you can definitely have Saka instead of prioritizing Saka over somebody like a Coutinho, for example. But I think in midfield you would definitely want to have Salah, considering that could be an advantage. A lot of people would be getting on Salah next week. I know that his effective ownership is still going to be pretty high, but I think getting on him this week still makes a lot more sense. You can have Bruno, for example. You don't have to have a Man City, a midfielder in your wildcard draft. I don't think so. It's required. In case you don't go Robertson, you get Jota in your team and complete that triple up. Then you can get Saka. I don't think so. Any other Arsenal options in midfield really are appealing. And another option, let's say if you don't want to get Saka, you can get Coutinho as well. That's also an option. If you don't want to, let's say if you are not using your free hit chip and you want to kind of balance it out, then you probably go with the Coutinho, for example. Among forwards, I think I personally don't prefer a premium forward spot, so I probably won't go for a Ronaldo or a Kane. Even if it's on a wild card, I think I'll still stick to. I'll definitely have Roja, which makes me save a lot of money and has decent games. I'll probably get Weghorst on my wildcard team and probably even have Edward. Or you can have Edward or one of Edward or Dennis or a King. Maybe a Crystal Palace attacker, maybe a Watford attacker. I think depends on your money and your budget as well, right? I think that I think could be a decent wildcard team to begin with. Best 5.5 million options, midfield option. I think Ramsey and yeah, I mean you can go Ramsey or you can also go Olise. I think Olise is also pretty good. I know Ramsey doesn't have a double game week, but sometimes we just underappreciate the value of a particular player having a good single game week. I've seen so many times in FPL where people start seeing double game weeks and they start making random transfers. I think we should value these single game weeks a lot more than we generally do. A lot of times a single game week player could easily outscore somebody who's having a double game week, right? And I know not a lot of people think about this, but that's absolutely a possibility. Added all their projected points with captaincy and expected a Salah haul, and from there I checked the ownerships and ranks gained on. Yeah, I mean, Live FPL is actually a great site. I know a lot of people. I personally, I haven't explored it too much, and I won't lie there. I generally go there for some basic transfer stuff and not too in depth with the site, but in case if you've not checked it out, make sure it's a free site. I'm not endorsing or I'm not doing any advertisements here, but I think in general, if you want to have some fun, if you want to check your rank, I know it's probably not the best thing to do, considering that sometimes you really lose a lot of rank during the week and then you end up gaining a lot and end up on a green arrow. But I think in general, if you want to get a little bit more involved, definitely check out Live FPL. I think it's a great site. Free hit 30. I mean, it's not necessary that you have to free hit in 30. There are options. Let's say if you have, you know, you have players from Wolves, from Leeds. You have Aston Villa players. You have Leicester players, for example. I think you can definitely avoid a free hit in 30. I think there's better value. There's probably better value now in 27 than probably in game week 30, because the average player count or the average number of players playing in that average number of football players playing in that particular week is going to be probably not more than 7 or 8. I mean, the standard average, the top 10k could be closer to maybe 9, maybe even 10, but I think the standard average is not going to be beyond 7, maybe even 8. So yeah, I mean, you don't have to play a free hit. The fixtures are not that great. I mean, they're not. Aston Villa, Arsenal could be a close one. Leicester, Brentford, we expect Leicester to do well. Wolves, Leeds, again. Wolves don't score too many. Leeds concede a lot, so the dynamics are a bit different. So yeah, I mean, I personally see myself saving the free hit chip in 30, unless we add more fixtures or we get more blanks or something like that happens. Then probably it's a different thing. Burnley has double in gaming 26-27. Yes. I mean, it's a decent double. 26 is not that great. 27 is still better. But yeah, just the sheer amount of more games is something that really makes it good having or makes it worth it having at least one Burnley player. I mean, you wanna be part of the lottery to play the lottery, right? I mean, if you don't buy a ticket, how will you actually win the lottery? I mean, I don't know if it's making any sense, but yeah, that's that. Start two from Dallo, Ramsey, and Edward. Let me start Dallo. Give myself a chance to have a double game week player, and I'll probably start ooh, between Edward and Ramsey. I think I'll start Ramsey. I'm be honest. I'll be honest. I think I'll start Ramsey. I think he's a little more nailed than Edward for sure, and I think against Newcastle it could be good. King and Coutinho or Watkins and Olise for my wildcard team. I'll probably go King and Coutinho. I really like Coutinho a lot. What do you say we should jump on Chelsea players 28 onwards? I mean, it's a bit too early to say that. If Chelsea starts scoring goals, I mean, it feels like we've not seen Chelsea since a very very long time. But yeah, if they start scoring, I mean, we can still look at a couple of attackers. Maybe Mount again. Not too sure on that. Definitely not going to go for a Jorginho or a Kovacic, maybe even Havertz, for example. Lukaku could be an option, but he's too expensive and he's not scored enough goals to cement his place in our FPL teams. I think the defense, if they are able to keep clean sheets, I think somebody like a Rudiger, for example, maybe even James. Because I think James is back. I think he is playing in the Club World Cup. I'm not following it, but if I'm wrong, just please correct me in the comments. I think he's definitely going to be back and probably play the Champions League games, probably play the Premier League games. Sorry, and I think we could get on him a bit early. But yeah, I probably would still be a little wary in terms of getting Chelsea players. It's probably a wait and watch. Bench King or Lamptey, I will bench King. Game week 30 is gonna be the biggest game week blank, so that's why a free hit. I mean, yeah, but if you already have 6 to 7 players who are playing that week, if you have Arsenal players, Villa players, Leicester players, maybe a player from Wolves, for example, or maybe even if Southampton has a fixture, then a Southampton, maybe a Broja, for example. I mean, I think he should be fine. Even if we have 6 to 7 game, players playing in that particular week, I think it should be okay because I genuinely feel that Game Week 30 is not a season-defining game week. I mean, even if you don't have enough players, you were absolutely okay. Probably attack the double game weeks with that free hit could be a better move than attacking only 2 to 3 fixtures, because if things don't go according to your way, or your players don't perform, then you don't really have anything left, right? you you're better off probably targeting a double game week than game week 30 in particular. Any early team news on Man United? We'll quickly check that. I don't think so we've got anything, but we'll just give me a minute. I'll quickly check if we have something. There is a tweet about United team leak. I think so. People are saying Ronaldo starts, but again, I don't see any official. Yeah, I don't see any official tweet or official leak. Yeah, but I think he will start. Right now, there's no news, but I think he'll start. King and Coutinho or Watkins or Elise. I think I've done this. Should I go for Ramsey or Coutinho? If you have the money, definitely Ramsey. If you're saving a bit of cash, and if it's a cash crunch for you, then Ramsey. Uh, or did I say it right? Coutinho if you have money, Ramsey if you're going a bit budget. Rodriguez from Burnley, I'll probably get. I think he could be a better asset than he is right now, considering that Weghorst, uh, the likes of Weghorst, likes of Cornet, even McNeil would be a little more involved. But I generally would want to go with Weghorst. Whatever I saw from Weghorst, I think again that's just a very small sample size, but I think I'll definitely still want to go Weghorst. Just gonna have mentioned it. You probably bench King. I've covered your question. Thoughts on Cucurella? I think he's expensive for what he's offering. Brighton have not kept a clean sheet in a long time. I think only won in about 9 or 10 games. So it's not a great reading. He's also just got one attacking return in all this while. So if I have to go for a Brighton player or a Brighton defender, I'll probably just save my money there and take a chance with Veltman. Is slightly risky in terms of his starts, but I think Webster is probably more nailed. Having said that, he doesn't really do anything, so you can probably go with Veltman. Maybe even Lamptey if you're looking at an attacking player, but yeah, I mean, I'll still not go for Cucurella personally. We're gonna win the World Cup, and yes, James is back with the squad, but he won't be risk. I mean, yeah, uh, he's a lot more important to the Premier League, and again, I think the top two are still quite far now from Chelsea. I still think second is still attainable, but Liverpool would have to probably drop a little bit in terms of how they're playing. I still feel top two is tricky, but yeah, to cement that third position, I think they need James. They need their best defenders in the league, and yeah, I think he could be an option, but just not yet. Start Dennis or Antonio. I will. This particular week, I will definitely start Antonio. I think Leicester is a worse defense than Brighton in general in terms of overall, chance creation numbers, chance conceding chances, and expected goals conceded. So I think I'll probably start Antonio. Guys, a couple of minutes to go, so make sure that you save your teams. I'll also quickly check mine. I think the deadline is 4:30 only. Yes, it's 4:30. Please make sure that you save your team, save your captains, you make your transfers. Ideally, captain a United player or a United attacker. If you don't have one, then probably get one. If you don't want to get one, then probably captain Salah, who could be a decent shout for this week. Start Eduardo Broja. I really like Broja against Man United. I know that defensively they've not been that great, but we have also not been anything close to great defensively. So I'll probably start. Edward is a slight risk. Even if he didn't start the last game, I cannot confidently say that he will start this one. So he probably is a bit of a risk still for me. Broja is more nailed. I think he's fit. He's back, and I think against United he can definitely score. So I'll probably start Broja. Great, guys. Do let me know if you have any more questions, or if I've managed to answer your questions, anything at all, anything in terms of captaincy, anything in terms of transfers. If you wanna get any last minute thoughts on your teams, please feel free to do that as well. Um, Generally, if you can save a transfer, I mean that's also a good strategy, and that's also a viable move that you can make. You don't have to make a transfer necessarily. Let's say if you're not comfortable with a particular forward, you don't have to get him this week. You can probably target a Burnley forward, maybe a different forward for the double game week with an additional transfer that also allows you to be a little more flexible or be a little more aggressive in terms of targeting game week 26, and you don't necessarily have to make that move for 25. So just see the weightage in terms of which game week is probably going to give you more points, and then accordingly make that move. You had Edward in the 11 since the last deadline. Now switching him. I mean, yeah. I also started with. I played a 4-5-1. I think last game week, or was it a 5-4? I think it was a 4-5-1 with Edward in play. I think he's definitely gonna be a rotation risk again. He can start this game. He can play 90, and against Brentford he can still do well. But I mean, I like the idea of Broja against United because United's defense is he can definitely bully the likes of Maguire. Let's say if Varane starts, if there's any other defender who starts, there's a good chance there. Start Dennis or Broja. I will start Broja ahead of Dennis for sure. Brighton is a tight defense. Yes, I know that they've not been keeping a lot of clean sheets, but I think their defensive numbers are still okay. They're not that bad. Yeah. Great, guys. A couple of minutes to go. We'll take up a couple of more questions. I have to leave a little bit early today for some work, so we'll probably end it after the deadline. But just make sure that you ask if you have anything in mind. Daka or Bowen in 11. Um, I think I'll still have Bowen. Yeah, I rate the West Ham defense slightly better than what Leicester has been doing. So I think I'll definitely have Bowen in my team. I got Robertson somehow. You gave me. I mean, yeah. I mean, Robertson again. As I said, in hindsight, a lot of people would have looked at this comparison with Jota and said that he's probably more attacking. He's probably gonna get more goals and all that stuff. But I think in general, Robertson would be a good pick. King or Eduardo? Edward. I think out of the two, I'll definitely go Edward. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, of course, there are multiple ways to play this, multiple ways to think about what you want to do, think about your overall team strategy. Gaming 27, I think, is a crucial element in terms of what you want to do, whether you want to wildcard this week, maybe next week, maybe you want to bench boost next week, considering you have wildcarded. So I can also probably wildcard. I can probably use the bench boost. Sorry, I've already used the wildcard. I can probably bench boost in 26. I think that's going to be a bit tricky because I want to do Salah triple captain. I think that's going to be a popular move, and I think Salah's ownership is definitely going to be beyond 200%. So uh, even if you have captain Salah and if you don't triple captain him, you'll still end up losing points. I mean that is how crazy it could get. So yeah, let's see. Great, guys. So we've reached deadline. I hope you guys have made your transfers and your moves. Thank you so much for joining again. Thank you so much for your love and support. I hope I was able to help you this week, and let's hope all of us have a lot of good green arrows and a lot and again a great game week. I hope you have a great time. You went DCL to Broja, Gray to Bruno. Only 9 doublers now in 26 with a -8 rather than 10. But I get to keep Foden. I mean, yeah, you get to keep Foden and Broja is good for both planks. So, I mean, keeping a free hit for 33 or maybe even 36, let's say if you don't have the bench boost till then. I know a lot of people have been talking about bench boosting in 36, but keeping one free hit for either of these 2 weeks could be really, really crucial. So, yeah. Fingers crossed, Foden outscores DCL. I think so. I mean, if he plays against Norwich, I think he could definitely outscore DCL. You bottled it and you went with Edward only and Broja first bench. But yeah, I mean, now let's hope Broja scores, and then that decision kind of uh, turns. Yeah, I don't want to say that, but yeah, I mean, of course, let's hope for your sake Edward does really well. But yeah, let's see. Great guys, thank you so much again. I think I will leave a little early today, and I'll definitely see you. We'll let's see if we can, if you guys are interested, we can probably do a midweek sort of a stream, but we'll definitely have the deadline stream as usual. I think the next deadline is 19th. Yeah, so we have a week. It's on Saturday, so I think that's also going to be a little early in the day. Not early, but yeah, I mean it's going to be pretty uh, midday sort of a thing. So we'll see. We'll see. I think we can also do, maybe adjust at least one stream in the middle. We'll see that. Great, guys. Thank you so much. Have a great week. Do watch the football, and I will definitely see you guys next time. Bye bye.